Hey everyone, welcome back. I've decided to split this video up into a number of different parts. So this is going to be my series part of the book haul. I've got one duology and two trilogies to tell you about. I'm very excited about all three of them for different reasons. So the first one that I want to tell you about is one that I've already read. This is the newest edition. It is a box set of Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talents by Octavia Butler. The absolutely stunning art featured on the covers of both of these books and also on the outside of the box set is the Afrofuturist art of Paul Lewin. Paul Lewin is he is a digital artist, and I believe he's also a painter, and his work is very attractive to me because it imports the elements of collage and portraiture, and the colors are rich and vibrant and beautiful, and I would like to own a piece of his work one day. It's absolutely stunning. I actually haven't opened the box because I don't know that I want to do that yet. I'm not sure when I will read it, but I wanted to definitely get my hands on it. The Parable of the Sower includes an introduction by Gloria Steinem, who is a very popular writer, a feminist writer, a white feminist, and I really am interested in what she has to say about Octavia Butler's contributions in Parable of the Sower. And then the introduction to Parable of the Talents was written by Toshi Regan. Toshi Regan is a songwriter, a director, and created a musical that has been moving around different states in the US and hopefully will come to Toronto, a musical based off of Parable of the Sower. You can find little snippets of the musical on YouTube, and it's going to be playing in Los Angeles on the weekend of March 7th. So if you are interested, if you live in that area and you're interested, I would definitely commend it to you. So definitely go and see that musical if you are able. So that is the first set, and that is a duology, the Parable of the Sower and the Parable of the Talents. For those of you who aren't familiar with those stories, I will probably one day provide, actually, you know what I'm going to do? Actually, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to introduce another book to you that I had planned to do later, but this seems to be the best time to do it. This, my dear friends, is one of the most exciting books that has come out this year. I haven't read it, but I'm excited about it. This is the Parable of the Sower graphic edition. Yes. So this was put together by John Jennings and Damien Duffy, and that is the dynamic duo behind the graphic version of Kindred. It is blurbed by Danielle Jose Older and a lot of other people. So I will read you what's on the inside here. In order to rise from its own ashes, a phoenix first must burn. In the year 2024, the United States teeters on the edge of madness. The country is marred by unattended environmental disasters, economic crisis, and social chaos. 15-year-old Lauren Olamina, a preacher's daughter living in Los Angeles, is protected from danger by the walls of her gated community. However, her world is ruled by fear, and she is afflicted with hyper-empathy. She feels the physical pain of those around her as if it were her own. On top of everything else, in opposition to her father's Baptist preaching, she is developing her own religion, Earthseed. When her gated community is destroyed and her family murdered, Lauren travels north to try and find safety and to spread her new system of belief with these founding words. All that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. God, the only lasting truth is change. God is change. So this is the graphic novel edition, and I would ask you to take a look at my review of Kindred, the graphic novel, because that was the first time that I encountered Duffy and Jennings spending time with Octavia Butler's work. I'm really happy that they've taken this one on. I haven't even opened it because I just can't. I want to like be in a cottage or something and just like sit for a whole day with food and wine and just read the whole book end to end, you know? So anyway, I'm very much excited. And just like even the cover, I didn't even imagine her to have locks, you know, Lauren Olamina. So I didn't imagine her. It's a gorgeous cover, yeah. So I didn't. Do you want to see it? I didn't really even imagine her with locks, but I'm so excited about it. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is a trilogy, and I believe that this is actually, excuse me, this is an old trilogy. Yeah, so book one, oh, I'm lying. This is a big old lie. This is a lie. Don't believe anything I said. The first one, book one in the Effigies series. I thought the first book was written in like, nope, all lies. So this is around 2016, 2017. So this trilogy was written by Sarah Raleigh, and it's called the Effigies series. So it's got 3 books so far. Fate of Flames, and then book 2 is Siege of Shadows, and then the 3rd book is Legacy of Light. So I'm not going to read the backs of all of these, but Sarah Raleigh, let me just find book number 1. So book number 1, Fate of Flames. I found out about this while searching for Black authors on Amazon, actually. Or maybe my friend Nadia, who's a writer, told me about them. But I believe that Sarah Raleigh, so Sarah Raleigh is a Black woman who grew up in Southern Ontario. I think she lives in Windsor or was writing in Windsor. So this is it's a young adult. Am I lying to you? I don't know if you can hear her, but Tomi's like totally giggling. Basically, your wife's a compulsive liar. Okay, so I believe that this is a young adult fantasy. It's a young adult fantasy trilogy written by a Black woman. So let's just pause for a second. No, like how many young adult fantasy trilogies written by Black women can you name like now? Trilogies. Like 3 books.
That should be a challenge.
Yeah, it should be a challenge. So, can you name a trilogy, a young adult trilogy, written by a Black woman? And if you're nasty, can you name a trilogy written by a Black woman from Southern Ontario? No, you can't. No, you can't. So this is why I got this, because I mean, I hope it's good, but just, you know, just the principle of the thing, right? So I'll just read this one. So years ago, everything changed. Phantoms, massive beasts of nightmare, began terrorizing the world. At the same time, 4 girls, the Effigies, appeared. Ooh, you know what? This feels like Charmed, the movie Charmed. Yes. So 4 girls, the Effigies, appeared, each with the unique power to control a classical element. Since then, they have protected the world from the phantoms. At the death of one effigy, another is chosen, pulled from her normal life into the never-ending battle. When Maya unexpectedly becomes the next fire effigy, she resists her new calling. A quiet girl with few friends and almost no family, she was much happier to admire the effigies from afar. Never did she imagine having to master her ability to control fire, to protect innocent citizens from the phantoms, or to try bringing together the other 3 effigies. But with the arrival of a mysterious Saul, a man who seems to be able to control the phantoms using the same cosmic power previously only granted to 4 girls at a time, Maya and the other effigies must learn to work together in a world where their celebrity is more important than their heroism. but the secret Saul has and the power he possesses might be more than even they can handle. Nice. Okay. All right, Sarah Raleigh, with your Southern Ontario trilogy. So yeah, very excited about this this young adult trilogy. And then the last trilogy that I want to talk about before I end this part of the haul is the trilogy by, what's it called? The Wormwood Trilogy by Tade Thompson. So book number 1 is called Rosewater, which I've hauled before. It's just like I'm hauling the trilogy now. So book number 2 is called The Rosewater Insurrection. And then book number 3 is called The Rosewater Redemption. First of all, even though the covers are very simple, I think that they're cool. Like they would make really good stickers, right? Really good. Okay, so yes, let me just read the back of the first one. Okay. Rosewater is a town on the edge, a community formed around the edges of a mysterious biodome. Its residents comprise the hopeful, the hungry, and the helpless. People eager for a glimpse inside the dome or a taste of its rumored healing powers. Caro is a government agent with a criminal past. A sensitive, he can navigate the massive psychic space created by the dome. But when something within the dome begins killing off other sensitives, Caro must defy his masters to avoid a horrifying future. So this is great. And in terms of who Tade Thompson is, I unfortunately I don't see Tade's bio. It's not really easily accessible at the moment. Yeah, it's not. So I have nothing to say about Tade except Tade's written some books. One of the things that I've noticed, though, you'll recall this. So it's called in the Rosewater and the Wormwood Trilogy. It's called a sensitive, but in Parable of the Sower and Parable of the Talents, we've got this notion of hyper empathy. This is a theme that I've come across in a lot of Black science fiction and fantasy, and that is people who are extremely sensitive to emotions or sensitive to energy, and that's a really interesting play on the kind of critiques that Black people get when they address white supremacy or racism or any of the other intersecting phobias or isms in their own experience. We're often told that we're over exaggerating, or we're being too sensitive, or we are having too much of a response to something, that we should get over it, that we have a chip on our shoulder. And what I really enjoy about Black science fiction and fantasy is that it takes up a lot of the common themes that Black people experience and turn them on their side, turn them on their head, turn them inside out, and then spread them across an interesting setting, an interesting plot, so that we can encounter them in ways that will get us to think critically about those things. So for example, when we've got Lauren Olumina in the Parable of the Sower and the Parable of the Talents, she has hyper empathy, which might be a curse, because it means that if she sees somebody getting stabbed or shot, she will feel it exactly as the person is feeling it. So she has to shield herself from the pain of others. But at the same time, her disability, as it's set out, is also a source of her idea. It's like a spring for her ideas about Earthseed and what it means to take care of each other, and it brings forth this whole new way of imagining communities working together. So I'm curious about what Tade Thompson will do with this notion of a sensitive person, and whether Tade will take up this idea of being sensitive as a superpower or a magical skill. So who knows? We'll see. All right, that is it for my duology, my graphic novel version of one of the books in the duology and my 2 trilogies. I hope that you are enjoying this part 2 of my first book haul of 2020. If you're interested in any of these books, if you've read any of these books, if the synopses that I've read to you are inspiring, please let me know in the comments below. And definitely, if you can think of a trilogy, a fantasy trilogy or science fiction trilogy for young adults written by a Black woman, I would really love to hear your recommendation. All right, I'll see y'all in part 3.